Hey, Vulnerable Scientist podcast listener. Thank you for keeping in touch with this mini-series of 3 episodes from Milcah's story. So on this episode, we're going to talk about the highs after talking about the lows and the introduction in the previous episodes. And I'm hoping that you just go back and listen to them if you've not listened to them. And if you've listened to them, congratulations, you've gotten to the 3rd episode of this series. And I hope you enjoy it and give us feedback on what you think, and also rate these podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other platform that has a rating button, so that other people who might be interested in this content can be able to get that kind of content.
So my highs. Let's start, just being able to join Kenyatta University. That was a big thing for me. And
why
then that? Because I really wanted to study biochemistry. I was one of those who are not many in my class who knew they wanted to do biochemistry before we joined. Yes, I was one of those. Because I
have never met someone like you.
I just loved it. I knew about it from my high school.
How? As in?
I know. So I loved science, except physics. And I loved when you eliminate physics, I had biology and chemistry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I was good in them. And for me, biology was so almost natural. I loved biology. And then we went for this career day. When you get to Form 4, or was it Form 3, they start taking you to these career days where universities and other institutes would come to show what is available, what courses you can take. And there was this booth, and they had a list of courses, and they had biochemistry there. And to me, it was like light bulb moment, because it was just the 2 things that I would want to continue with after I finished school. And so I knew from that moment, this is what I want to do. They explained a bit about it, and, like being able to solve. I remember she said something to do with human health problems by understanding the biology of the body and the chemistry that, that is also in the body, and the chemistry outside the body. And I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So when I filled in the courses, biochemistry was right there. I almost lost that chance. I'm not going to go into that. That's another podcast. But yes, I got into the biochemistry program at KU, and I really had a great time learning in KU. So that was one of my highest points. And then we started learning about all the channels that biochemistry could lead, because it's a very broad field. And then now, I know, and that was a very confusing time, right? Because you're like, okay, do I go to pharmacology? Do I go to livestock research? I didn't even know about livestock research that well at that time. Where do I go? I could end up anywhere. I did internship at KEBS and, government chemist standards, and I loved it. But is that what I will end up? I don't know. So lots of questions there. And then, so that it was a high, but that's just like one of the points that it led, just questions. The second high was now the being able to graduate with my master's and finding this opportunity at ILRI, Becker. And while there, it was an international institute, and so I got to meet people from other places and here, especially Africa, because the program was bringing in students from all over Africa, East and Central Africa, to learn. And I got to meet them and know why are they doing research. And everyone had a story. Everyone was working on something, all of it connected to agricultural production and improving that in their countries. And every story was unique, and I could see that they had unique solutions and some of them similar. So I think that's what intrigued me, this joint dream of improving our agricultural production in Africa and how we are faced with different challenges. But sometimes we can share the same solutions or use the same concepts to solve the problems differently. That was a very high point. That ABCF program was amazing. After that, it was the job that I got after the internships. IITA itself was very good because it's the first time I had. So when I was at Becca, I had my first international travel to a conference in Italy. I love traveling. As a side note, I love traveling. I had dreamt about it. I didn't know how it would happen. And I remember one time
research happened. Wow.
I know. I'm so happy it led to that. I remember one time being at ILRI and people talking about their travel experience and being seated there and wondering, oh God, how will I ever? And they asked me, so where have you gone? I was like, nowhere. I've just been around. And then I remember this girl, she was from Cameroon. She was like, Milcah, you're in research, it will happen. And that feeling was like, okay, I guess so. And then it did through that fellowship at Becca. And then after that, I also traveled. I got to go to another conference in Cape Town. Then when I got to IITA for the internship, my mentor, his name is Trusha Shah. He's an amazing mentor. He had an opportunity to travel and go do something here in the US for a meeting. But he had been training me and he was like, you know what, I think you should go. And because I believe you will learn a lot from this opportunity. And so he did that for me. And wow. That led to a big network, connecting with a big network that I still work with to date. So that was amazing. So mentorship has also been very good for me. Like a good mentor will help you so much.
Let's give a shout out to good supervisors that you've been having.
Yes,
so far.
I have been blessed with amazing mentors. I thank God for them. Trisha was one of them, and Naftali also works at ILRI, and there's another one called Makwa Malwa, who was my MSc, and then Esther, who is a professor at the University of Nairobi.
Esther.
So. Now I'm going to feel Kanduma. Why did I? Her name is Dr. Esther Kanduma. I know, embarrassingly.
It's okay.
And there's also Piero Ngugi, who is also Dr. Piero Ngugi, who is at KU. He's a really amazing mentor. So
amazing. Thanks for mentioning those names. It's important to hear the people who are influencing people in a positive way. Okay,
that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after Trusha, the internship was ending, but he introduced me to another scientist called Dr. Mike Olsen. He was working at CILMIT, and so Dr. Mike Olsen is the one he was also part of the internship, but behind the scenes. And so he connected me with another mentor called Dr. Eng Hua. And Eng is the one who gave me the data consultant position after the internship. And that was, it took me at ICRISAT, exactly. And while I was working there, I was working for, like, Dr. Eng and Dr. Damaris Odeni. They were the main people that I was working with. And they really meant... Sorry?
Sorry, I cut you off when you're saying it took you something.
And I was saying that, and now I forgot that point, but...
Sorry, I'm the worst.
No worries. But yeah, Dr. Eng and Dr. Damaris Odeni, she works at ICRISAT. She's a scientist there. They were very good mentors to me and Dr. Mike Olsen. And so... this position is still the highest point in my research because it was a collaborative project, and so I needed to travel. My job was actually to travel to different places in the world, meet breeding programs that work there on different crops, see their research, see what they're doing, try to help them with the solutions I had to offer for data analysis and genomics. And this was amazing because first it helped me fulfill a dream that I wanted, which was to travel. So I was able to go to so many countries and also to learn, like just learn about culture, understand why they're using certain solutions, and learn about different crops and how you work with different crops to improve them and how they transform their lives there in those countries. And that was like mind-blowing to me, Sarah. It was amazing. Still the highest point. And I networked so much. And I had amazing mentorships. My mentors allowed me to have access to these opportunities, and like they gave their all, and they guided me through the process of growth. So I shout out to them big time.
You had mentioned before that at the time that you're job searching, it was hard to get a bioinformatics-based position. Because of the few opportunities. Would you like to talk about that and transitioning to getting an opportunity that made you
was like
travel the world because of this bioinformatics skill?
It's tricky to talk about this.
I love the way you've done that.
Because Sarah, the truth is I could never have seen the connection. When I was studying biochemistry, I couldn't have seen that connection. I'll tell you that, bioinformatics. And I just was passionate about it. I had an interest in computer programming, which I also did a certificate course on that in NIBS College. And
why did you do that?
Because I couldn't afford to go for a bioinformatics master's program. So what my advisor, Dr. Makwa Malwa, and another one who has passed on, his name is Joseph Makumi, the late, they told me, you know what, you can do, because you can do your master's in biochemistry and then you do another course in computer programming, and then you look for a scientific problem that you can solve by combining these two skills, and then you will be learning like a genomics one. So then it becomes bioinformatics. And that's how it happened. So mine was like a cocktail of courses and research to have that expertise. But the job search thing, so I was also looking for purely bioinformatics jobs, right? Like something that says bioinformatics lecturer, bioinformatician needed. But here's what I learned, and I would like to pass this on, especially to people who are interested in computational biology or bioinformatics, is most people, in my experience, and even in this job I ended up doing, it's that people didn't know that what they needed was bioinformatics purely. And it's that the problems that they had, maybe with data analysis, or they want to sequence and they don't know how to handle the data, or whether the kind of sequencing they will do, the data they will get, whether it will answer the questions they have. It's that either they don't have funding to have a full position for bioinformaticians to come and do that. Maybe it's something temporary that they need for a project to do this part that needs these skills. And so in that case, it really helps if you reach out in your emails in a different way. You reach out not looking for a permanent or a proper bioinformatic position, but proposing that you have these skills, and therefore if they have a problem or a gap that can be addressed with these skills, you are okay with coming to work even if it's not a full-time position, whatever is available. Especially, and this is especially important in an area where there's just, finding jobs is a problem. So you could propose that because you have skills. The way I see it is that if I have skills, I can come in and contribute. And I also have to understand that it doesn't mean that you need these skills forever as a company or as an institute. Maybe and in research are usually like you have a problem, so you work on it for a certain period, right? It can be long or short. So for me, it was that you propose to come and provide these services, provide these skills, and understanding that maybe the employer doesn't have funding or doesn't need to set up a whole bioinformatic position, because maybe that's not something that will warrant that kind of position. Maybe they just need it temporarily.
Okay.
That was, for my story, that was a big thing in terms of employment. And the other thing is, honestly, faith. I didn't know that it would connect to that job. I would be lying if I said I even knew that I would switch to crops, and that the skills I learned while working on livestock genomics and proteomics, that they would, be translational, like I could use them in crops the way I do now. And I have expanded my knowledge in crop, but I still use some of these skills that I learned. It's also knowing that it doesn't go to waste. And for me, I prayed for God to give me opportunities that will help me to use what I learned. And He did. Yeah. So it's tricky. That's why I sighed, because I did, when I was doing it in KU and struggling and applying, I didn't know, Sarah. I didn't know that it would connect to this. So there is a lot of faith and grace along the way, but there is also a lot of lessons that I'm happy to share, like that one. Like, I was applying for bioinformatics, and then you find there are like 5 positions, and there's like, I don't know how many of us who have those skills. But if you change and you start seeing, when I changed and this helped me to learn that I can be a problem solver, and that's the thing. And use the skills for bioinformatics, and it doesn't have to be a permanent position. So I actually worked as a consultant, Sarah. The position I got, that job, I was a consultant. It could have been good. Yes, I was a consultant. Yes, I worked as a consultant. It does give you flexibility in a certain way. And after, I'm happy because after I left that position, my consultancy was turned to an actual position, because now they saw that there was a need, right? And more people now there was need to invest in it and make it a permanent position. So there are those things I saw even for myself when I was looking for a job that I wasn't aware of, or I didn't acknowledge as much, that sometimes people need to see the need for what you are offering, and it's a process. Yeah. So last, if I have time, I can give one more high.
There's a lot of time.
Oh, okay.
with your, it's the content that really matters to me. It's not.
Yes.
It's not the time. I don't like when people limit what people can say, because people have a lot of knowledge from their experiences, their own personal experiences, and it might help someone to do the same thing or something similar. So feel free to say as much as you can.
All right. Thank you. So another high was to get this position in Sweden with a very good mentor. His name is Dr. Patrick Stolt. And he saw what I was working on with ICRISAT. And at that time, the funding, the funding was ending again. Funding issue. And, he offered me that position. He also knew that I was looking for a PhD. And so they opened up the opportunity that I can go work for them while I study. And so it was like this really amazing opportunity. If it went through the way we planned it, right? I would be having a PhD, and I'm working at the same time. I'm gaining knowledge and skills and experience working in a different environment there. And that was amazing. And I got to go live in that country, meet very nice people, especially the Kenyan community there is so, these are the other things, people who come in and you don't know them, they are strangers, and just the spirit of Kenyans helping and loving each other. And it's always something I always like to highlight. Like, you come to, even here where I am, you come to a place where you don't know people, could be a complete stranger. But the moment they see that band on your hand, or they know that you're from home, they really do take care of you. And I've been blessed to have friends like Joanne, who they just made me feel at home. And I also made some good Swedish friends while I was there, learned a lot about their culture. It was good. And I was able to take care of my family while I was there. So I thank God for that. For those opportunities. And in terms of research, again, it was just building the network. It just kept expanding. Now I know I had networks from there that I didn't have. So there is that. So that was another high.
I've just seen that the band thing, the Kenyan flag band. I started imagining I didn't see that significance of that band until you said this.
Yeah, there's a lot that unfortunately we look at right now in our society, and it's not working right? And sometimes you feel like you want to take off your band. But there's a lot more good that is there in Kenyans that you see, especially when you are away from home and you meet them. One of my closest friends, we actually met that way in church, like in Sweden. I was sitting, and then she comes, sits next to me on the pew, and then I see the band. We start talking. Now she's one of my closest friends. Her name is Annette.
Wow.
And just like that, and
and just like that,
yeah, there's nothing more. It's just like the moment she saw me after church, we talked, and she was now helping me to know, where do you find this, where do you do this, how do we, connecting me to more friends. And now you start feeling, because it feels it's not easy being in a foreign land, and now you start finding your people. And it's not to say that the other people who are there are not nice to you or anything, but you still will miss your people. So it's always that special. There's that special feeling of hanging out with people from home.
There's nothing,
and they take care of you.
There's nothing wrong with finding your own. Like if you see someone who looks like you or who talks like you, even among Kenyans, people connect easily when they have certain things that are common.
Exactly.
And even when you talk about tribe, it's not necessarily like people want to hang out with the people who are from their tribe. It's just that people connect easily when someone can relate to them in certain perspectives. For you, like it's a foreign country, the thing that connects you is that Kenyan thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's something special.
It's something special, and it's something you miss. I joke with my sister all the time about this, like sometimes you just want to speak Swahili and speak Swahili. These are the small things that you don't even think about when you're home. And then, like when you're here, I joke that I use my brain, my brain is on overdrive because I'm speaking English all the time, and I just want to speak Swahili.
You just reminded me of this joke that I saw on someone's status. Imagine coming home to Badondo when you've been speaking English the whole day.
Aki. That's funny. That's funny. You've been speaking English and then you come home to Badondo.
You need some reward.
I want to come home to Badondo right now.
Wait.
But anyway, so that's something to highlight in Sweden, like the Kenyan community, and the fact that I met Swedish people from other people from there, and they were amazing. But to see Kenyans come through, strangers really come through for you, just because of this connection we have, was something that made me appreciate the spirit of Kenyans. And I have continuously enjoyed that, even now where I am. So the other high was finding this, getting this PhD opportunity. To be honest with you, Sarah, I never used to like coming to the US. Yeah, when I was applying for PhDs, there's one place I wasn't applying, and that was this place.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that's where you landed.
That's where I landed. So, So finding this and coming here and just being part of another thing, mentors. Like I can't say it enough times, mentors. Finding a very good mentor, and not just them, and even having still the mentorship from these other people, these places I left. like those people, we still talk, they still come in, and I get stuck on issues, and I talk to them, and they give me good advice, or they point me to someone who can, or a good resource where I can find the information I seek. And also finding those people here, a good mentor here as well. They've been very good. Networking with other people that I haven't, met before. And again, Kenyans coming through. When I came here, Pauline, I'm calling you Pauline because I'm about to talk about Pauline. When I came here, I found blankets waiting for me, and I found pots waiting for me from ladies that I had not met, who there's a Kenyan student who is coming, and they just
could
start
relate
preparing.
to someone new coming in.
Yeah, that's it. They just need to hear there's a Kenyan student coming, and they start preparing. Can you imagine that? Like, it's so amazing. And I keep appreciating the spirit of Kenyans in that way. We are really unique in that sense. And I know that there are times we've had, bad moments amongst ourselves, but this is what I keep reminding myself of. This about Kenyans is unique. Yeah. So
that makes me happy.
That was my especially when you see us doing so many other things, like just being reminded of this. I think this is what we need to keep, because in order to also get the kind of future society we want to, we have to remember what is good about us, because those are the things we want to keep, right, in our future societies, and just keep pushing for this, keep doing it, keep passing it on. So that when there's a student who comes here, I know what to do, right? Because I know what has been done for me. So just passing on these good things, because I think those are the ones that we need to keep in our future society.
Do you want to start your own podcast? Start with some simple gear that you already have and a quiet space. Simple gear includes a microphone, editing software, and host of your podcast. Simple microphones include the ones on your phones and computers, or a simple recorder, which you can upgrade later. For the editing software, I use Audacity, which is free and simple to use. Buzzsprout, which over 1,000 other fellow podcasters like me use, is one of the podcast hosting providers you can use. Buzzsprout has helped me link my show on every major podcast platform. With the endless number and regularly updated tutorials and good customer service support Buzzsprout offers, my podcasting journey has been made easy. Following the link in the show notes, let Buzzsprout know we sent you. Gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and helps support our show.